千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. So, Wu Wei in academia, I have one column for incorrect and one column for correct. Let me go through them one by one with you and explain why I feel it is incorrect. First, I've read this. Wu Wei emerged from Confucianism to become an important concept in Taoism. That is very wrong. That shows a lack of understanding of how Confucianism came about. Confucius, who came after Lao Tzu, was a student of the Tao and Lao Tzu. So Confucianism, his own philosophies, are actually based on philosophical Taoism. That's it. He had his own take on the part of Taoism that required discipline. So Confucius talked a lot about social hierarchy and the appropriate etiquette and protocols to follow to maintain the social order. That's actually the Tao. That's actually part of the Tao. So what is this? What is this assertion about Wu Wei emerging from Confucianism? That's not true. If there's Wu Wei in Confucianism, it's because Confucius learned from the Tao. That is a fact. So it isn't something that came out of Confucianism to become an important concept in Taoism. That's all mixed up and incorrect. The truth is, Wu Wei emerged from Taoism to become an important concept in Chinese culture overall, and Confucianism reflected Chinese culture. That's the reality. So as I continue looking, researching what is the prevalent thought about Wu Wei in academia, I also see this. Wu Wei was most commonly used to refer to an ideal form of government. Wrong, very wrong. The reality was that Wu Wei applies to everything. Government is just one of them. Living one's life is another, and arguably more important. It never was most commonly used to refer to an ideal form of government. Now, this misconception came out of another associated misconception about how the Daodejing was written as a political teaching to emperors. Again, wrong. I can say that definitively because I have thousands of years of commentary to back me up. The Daodejing was not written for emperors, it was written for everybody. That includes emperors and you and me. So because many scholars, academics saw the Daodejing as being politically oriented, so when they see something like Wu Wei, they would naturally infer that it must be referring to an ideal form of government, a government that practices non-action, and that will be incorrect. So remember, Wu Wei, it's a living, breathing concept. It applies not just in ancient times, but modern times. It applies not just to the ancient kings and emperors, but you and me, the rulers of our own lives. So one more misconception. And this came from one of the sinologists, a scholar who studies ancient Chinese culture and so forth. He wrote that Wu Wei means perfect knowledge, perfect efficaciousness, and perfect economy of energy. What? Okay, this is a distortion. This is adding way too much into the original meaning. Now that you know what the original characters mean, you can tell this particular scholar doesn't know the original characters. So what it really means, Wu Wei means unattached action, that's it. Unattached action, when you take action without attachment, free from attachments, you can accomplish maximal effectiveness with minimal effort. When you take action without attachments, you could decide that you don't need to do anything, then it becomes literal non-action, as in doing nothing. Sometimes, but not all the time, sometimes it means that upon observation, you decide that a nudge is all that's required. A whisper is all that's required. Well, good. That may accomplish maximal effectiveness with minimal effort. So, perfect economy of energy, okay, I can accept that, but not perfect knowledge. No, there's nothing in Wu Wei that implies perfect knowledge of anything. So this is really an invention. This is really an injection of additional meaning from someone who doesn't really know the original. But now you do, and now I want to quiz everybody with a fun little puzzle. Here's what the puzzle looks like. This is Wu Wei in pop culture. And by this, I mean the worldwide / North American culture, the Western culture that we all partake in. So this is part of it. It may not seem like it, but it is. So this right here, this is a puzzle that conveys a message. And the puzzle is, well, what is the message it is trying to convey? So I'm going to give everyone just a few minutes to take a look at this puzzle and then provide me with your guess. The last time that I tried this, I had an answer very quickly within a few seconds. So I am wondering if this group will also be able to decipher this particular puzzle. What is the message that you see here? If any, perhaps you don't see anything. Or perhaps it's just puzzling. Okay, well, I'm already getting pretty good answers. Oh yeah. You guys are on the right track. Yep, I can tell you guys get it. You just get it. That's excellent. Here's the answer, guys. This is the photograph of an action figure of Yoda. I needed to use this one because this is the one that is safe to reuse. So the quote from Yoda has made its way into pop culture. Do or do not. There is no try. Yep, you guys are definitely getting it. Sorry, no Baby Yoda yet, because Baby Yoda hasn't learned enough yet to be able to say, do or do not. There's no try in a higher pitch. But in time, perhaps Baby Yoda will be talking about this too. Excellent. Okay, so this is the other example. So as you can see, the concept of Wu Wei is not foreign or alien to us. We are actually pretty familiar with it, but maybe not realize that it came out of the original concept from the Tao. Now, one of the things that I learned is that different people studying the Tao have derived benefits from it, And when I read up on Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, I saw that he described his own personal journey, learning about Wu Wei, and how before and after was dramatically different for him. That is, when he didn't know about the Wu Wei concept, he did things a certain way. But after he read up on the Daodejing and then tried to put some of it to work in his own life, he definitely perceived a difference. So yeah, Dr. Wayne Dyer, definitely. He wrote a book about the Daodejing. So from his book, I can share with everyone the following, his own before and after as described by himself. That previously, when he interacted with his kids, his children, he would attempt every now and then to discipline them as a parent, as he should, as he has a duty to as a parent. And he said that when he stepped in to impose discipline on his children, he created resistance. Now, every parent has experience with this. We all know that this is likely to be the case whenever you try to tell kids how to do something, what to do, what not to do, there's always the possibility of resistance. Now, as Dr. Wayne Dyer studied the Tao Te Ching, just like you and me were studying the Tao Te Ching, he applied it to his own life, and then he discovered that it was different. That when he saw an instance where he needed to step in to tell his children what or how, he decided to bite his tongue and retreat into silence and just observe, see how it works out. Now, this is when he already knew that his children had learned the basics of life and could think on their own. And he was right. He discovered, observing them, observing his children, that if he allowed them to figure it out for themselves, they do. And a calm energy replaced their frustration. The frustration that they had before in resisting his attempts to impose discipline, that's replaced by calmness. So Dr. Wayne Dyer found himself thinking, this ancient stuff, this is really working. And then he reflected upon his own thoughts and ideas and attitudes, and he realized that previously he assumed his kids didn't know how to be. That's why he felt that he had to interfere. Now, with very young children, that may be the case, but once the kids start growing up, if the parent is doing everything else right, you can assume that the kids are not completely clueless as to right and wrong. And there are times when you let them figure it out for themselves, it will actually strengthen their critical faculties. It will make them better people, being able to judge for themselves. And that's what every parent wants, is for the kids to be able to have that ability. So in his particular case, and keeping in mind that this is his own unique circumstance, you have to take this not as a universal prescription for parenting, but as his own unique experience for his own kids for a particular situation. What he found was that his kids were centered in the Tao. His kids listened to their own essential nature. So he actually didn't need to impose a heavy hand as much as he thought. So I want to use that as a way to extrapolate and to suggest to everyone that there's a possibility that when you feel like you need to interfere, that you can also think about it a second time, give it a second thought, and then be able to reflect on what is actually necessary, interference or letting it be. So Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote that he used to interfere not just with the kids, but also business associates, with a publishing company, with his agent, etc. And when he did that, he actually caused more problems to surface. Now, previously, he just assumed that because he was much more probing, that he would uncover more problems. Later on, though, he tried it in a different way, and he wrote that he became more adept at trusting the Tao. That is, more adept at trusting that people are also capable of being centered in the Tao and listening to their own essential nature. And the more adept he became in placing his trust, his faith in the Tao, the more peace he felt. And he was also surprised that he got more accomplished, not less. Why would this be if his original probing of different people uncovered many more problems? And when he does less of that, he's actually accomplishing more. So reality was not exactly as he had assumed it to be, that there's room for another way, the way of the Tao. So that's Wayne Dyer. But what about you? What about your life? I want to provide some suggestions as to applying Wu Wei in your life, because what Dr. Wayne Dyer said may not apply. You may not have kids, for instance, or kids may be grown. But there are other situations that clearly we can tell there's a possible way to proceed that is not Wu Wei, that is, opposed to the principle of Tao, and then there's another way that is better, that is in keeping with the Tao, that will bring about more peace, more happiness, better everything. So I have characterized them as not Wu Wei and authentic Wu Wei. So let's go through some of these examples. I've got a couple of Chinese characters here. 我相. That means, that's a Buddhist expression. It means ego. So 我相 is one of the traps that people fall into that causes their actions to not be Wu Wei, to not be in accordance with the Tao. So example, you want to make sure other people know all about the good deeds you have done. You want to be visible. You want to have the spotlight. You want to flaunt your achievements. That is 我相. Ego, it's not Wu Wei. Authentic Wu Wei is the other way. You do good deeds because you should. That's it. Not because they make you look good to other people. That's Wu Wei. Often complicated. So there's another manifestation of not Wu Wei. Let me show you. Three characters, 比较心. Let me explain. First two characters, 比较, means compare. 心 means heart or mind. So this is the mindset of constant comparison. It means you are constantly checking on how you are doing compared to your peers. And this could be material comparison, his house versus my house, the car that he drives versus the car that I drive, his job versus mine, his title versus mine, his salary versus mine. So many comparisons that people can make. And usually the trap that many people fall into is that, oh, I don't do that. I don't compare myself against other people. But then they start talking about the accomplishments of their kids. Oh, my son, my daughter, he did this, she did this. what they're doing is that they are comparing against other people by proxy, using their children as comparison proxies. It's the same thing. It's the same 比较心, not 无为. So rather than to constantly compare yourself against other people, the Wu Wei path of doing things, the Wu Wei path to live is to focus on doing the best job you can, not on keeping track of the score. So one more. Not Wu Wei, 得失心. Let me explain these three characters. First of all, the last character you notice is the same as what I have in the bullets right above this one. So it means the same thing. It's heart or mind. 得失, the first two characters means gain and loss. So this is the mindset that is attached to, obsessed with gain and loss. It's fear-driven. Like, what if I lose XYZ? Especially in terms of material wealth, social position, and reputation. So being worried about certain things take you out of the Wu Wei mindset. Comparing yourself against others, being egocentric, these are all surefire ways to short circuit your practice in Wu Wei. So in this case, the path of Wu Wei would be the following. So your concern is about being of service, being of assistance, not profitability or social prominence. So these are to the right. You now see sort of an abbreviated guide to authentic form of Wu Wei. And then to the left, you see what, well, I think you can tell. This is what most people do most of the time. Not Wu Wei. And this is why we say that the Tao is not for everybody. Most people are still mired in the left-hand column. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.